All right, so pull out those sheets of paper that we started last time on the PowerPoint that's hard to read. So with each one of these things, we're going to be forcing our thinking into different areas. So let's take where we left off here, formulating the challenges. So I think of Cordell's deal where you were expecting more students to come. So by going through kind of a thoughtful process here, you might have been able to anticipate that. Like being just more methodical about, now I'm imagining myself in the classroom, we're doing it, oh my gosh, what if only 3 students show up? You know, how am I going to handle that? We had, actually, this has been one of the bigger classes here. We only have, let's see who's missing. So Alicia, Cameron, and Gabe. I think that's about the size of the class. I think we're only missing 3. I might even, Austin, or, yeah. So anyway, about 4 people. All right, so that is what we're kind of setting up as we work through this. So we're going to use different kinds of thinking skills as we do. So to add on your sheet then, I'll go ahead and dim the lights here. Let's see, that's red. So exploring, I had you, hopefully you have on your sheets that you wrote down these, but you can write them down now if you didn't have it. So exploring ideas, so write this down for this purpose. What is the purpose of this section of exploring ideas? To generate novel ideas that address significant gaps or challenges. To generate novel ideas that address significant gaps or challenges. I will have you turn these in at the end of the class today for points, by the way. And so the author uses ideational thinking. What do you think that word means? Let's see. Bobby, number between 3 and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ricardo, this is kind of a weird one. Barely pronounce it. Ideational thinking. We're exploring ideas. What kind of thinking do you think you're doing if you're doing ideational thinking?
Create.
Say again?
And create.
Creative thinking, okay, good. Who else wants to add on to that? Bobby?
Ideas.
Ideas, yeah. So the idea part here is we're gonna try to come up with ideas, and we're exploring ideas to generate novel ideas. So how do we come up with ideas, right? What are some things that we can do? Bobby's exercise kind of helped us think through coming up with ideas. When you had to sit down to build the tower, you guys were coming up with some ideas on should we have it be a triangle or a rectangle, and use the marshmallows, or how do we use the twisty things, all of that stuff. Okay, next one, formulating solutions. To move from ideas to solutions. What's the difference between ideas and solutions? Ideas and solutions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Carson. Ideas to, so formulating solutions, this step of the process is to move from ideas to solutions. What's the difference between ideas and solutions? How would you articulate that?
Like making your thought into real life, like a blueprint, and then actually working on.
Okay, so yeah, so that's a good way to look at it. So if you're coming up with a solution, what has existed? If you have a solution, a problem, right? So you start with some sort of problem, and you might have some ideas, but the solution ends up using those ideas to make them formulate to address the problem more specifically. So the author says we're going to use some evaluative thinking. What are we doing there? Evaluative. I Can't even say it. What is evaluative? Okay, what are we evaluating with our evaluative thinking? Okay, so thinking of the ideas that, so we're evaluating the ideas, right? So we have to kind of take all these ideas and now start to think, how are these ideas going to contribute to a potential solution? All right, so all of these words are kind of weird, but they're trying to compartmentalize that we're going to take a different approach with each step. Exploring acceptance, to increase the likelihood of success by testing solutions. To increase the likelihood of success by testing solutions. So we now have a solution to the problem, maybe a couple of them. What would the contextual thinking be doing? Contextual thinking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, really. Good. Okay. So we have a problem like, let's say there's been a lot of fights. And so the problem is too much fighting among people. So what would be the context involved with addressing, you found some solution to how to keep people to stop from fighting. What would be something in context in terms of testing whether the solution would work, whatever those are? I know I'm being a little bit abstract here, but what sort of contextual things might there be in your solution to stopping fighting? What are some external things to the actual two people fighting each other that might be needed to be addressed? What's that? Issue of why they're fighting? Okay, good. Who's fighting? Is it two factory workers? Is it two students on campus, which is maybe where your brain went, right? Is it people on the internet that are having a little Twitter war? So the solution that you come up with, how can we help these people resolve their differences without, fighting, whatever that was, is going to be somewhat dependent upon the context in which it happened. And so here you're going to hopefully look at the success of the solutions by testing and thinking about the context of, are people going to embrace it? How you handle the factory workers fighting, or the prison inmates, or the college students might be different, right? So we might have to test some of those solutions given the context of it. Okay, formulating a plan to develop an implementation plan of the solution. So tactical thinking, a little bit closer to what we were talking about with the plan for this. How am I going to do it? Maybe it's part of the timing. Who's going to show up, who's not. If we think about tactics, what comes to mind for you? Tactics. I'm using a certain tactic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Jalen.
Strategy.
Strategy. Now we have strategy up here. So now I'm going to press you on what's the difference between a strategy and a tactic. They are similar, by the way, and they kind of go together a little bit. Strategy versus a tactic. Bobby?
Like the strategies, like the plan, and then the tactic, like the actual action.
Okay, something a little bit more specific. Jalen, anything to add on? Sorry, I kind of didn't give you a chance to add anything else. Because you're basketball, right?
Yeah.
So, you might have a strategy of let's take out the bigs, and then the tactic might be for sending you in to rough them up, right? So that's like the specific action plan for the strategy of taking out the bigs on the other team. Let's send in a hack. I don't know if you're a hack or not on the court, but he is for real. I just got lucky. Okay. So that would be our tactic, right? So it's a little more specific. All right, good. Any questions then on this? I wanted to take you again kind of slowly through those because that's really each chapter of the book is going to do that. Okay, so here is the thinking. You do not have to write this down. You don't have to write these down. So this is what we just did. So this is more the textbook here. So first of all, at the top here, what is thinking? So any mental activity that helps formulate or solve a problem, make a decision, or fulfill a desire to understand. So that's the type of thinking. I'm going to put these lights back on. I think without the red, they're okay for the most part. So read those top three. What do we mean by critical gaps here? Identifying critical gaps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A shot.
Like the important parts of the strategy that are missing.
Okay, so something that could be missing. Anybody else want to add on to that?
Maybe a problem.
What's that? A problem along the way, right? So if you have the overall, and we can kind of go in order the way we're trying to solve part of our vision problem. So this is kind of the big sweeping, a vivid and concrete picture of the desired future. What is my life going to look like? Which is going to be one of our exercises later. But what are the critical gaps to making my life look that way? Maybe getting a bachelor's degree is one of those things. Like if I don't get a degree, then chances are likely I'm not going to be able to have my life look this way in 10 years or something. Did I see a comment or hand up? Yeah, Bud.
I was going to say, I thought maybe gas.
A crucial part, yeah. So a crucial part that could keep you from attaining your goal, right? So that, as far as being crucial, that it'll keep you from moving forward. Okay, give the rest of these a read. The most. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cordell.
Evaluated.
Evaluated. Why?
Because I didn't evaluate my plan.
Okay, you're thinking back 2 years a little bit that it would have been putting more thought deeper into that might have made it better. Okay, good. One other person, which one was interesting to you up there of those 4? Bryce?
Contextual thinking.
Okay, why?
I think a lot of it's just because of like the example you brought up, just like the different types of fighting. Because like my mind immediately went to one specific situation, and I think that like a lot of context gets lost in a lot of what we see today.
Yeah.
And I think that's just an important thing.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so here is our last thing to hit for today. So effective skills, the big 3. What does it mean to be effective? So up here at the top, ways in which we deal with attitudinal and emotional aspects of learning. This includes feelings, appreciation, enthusiasm, motivations, attitudes, and values. So we can kind of think about how those things affect our ability to be creative, is what we're kind of thinking here. So openness to novelty, being able to entertain ideas that at first seem outlandish and risky. You know, you can think about your openness to new things. Are you one of the people, do you know some people that if you try something new, they're immediately like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm happy with where it is, right? So how open you are to novelty is going to have an impact on maybe some of your ability to be creative about solutions. Tolerance for ambiguity. That's a weird word, ambiguity. So if something's ambiguous, you don't really know all the details. How many of you know people who are uncomfortable with things when they don't have all of the details? It just causes stress, right? So it can be stressful when you don't know that. Well, how can we be able to better cope with that if that's the way we are? And thinking that, oh, it's something I don't want to do, and so you shut down. And then tolerance for complexity. How many people do you know that when something's so complex, they also shut down? Right? Oh, I can't handle that. That's too much information. Right? So all of these things then are interrelated to our emotions and how we approach things. And so we can try to work on these things. And let me get to this here. So this is your homework for Thursday. Find examples in your life where you displayed the 3 effective skills described in this chapter. This is chapter 3, but it's also in on your assignments. When did you show openness to novelty? You do have these PowerPoints, but if you want, we're at the end of class, you can take out your phone and snap a picture if you want, whatever you want to do. When did you show openness to novelty? Were there past situations in which you showed clear tolerance for ambiguity? When in your life have you displayed the ability to tolerate complexity? So you're just kind of thinking through and applying this to your life, and that is due on Thursday. Class dismissed.